A slip bobber looks like a normal spring bobber, but the line slides right through from top to bottom instead of being locked into a spring. Today we're going to talk about how to rig up one of these bobbers and why and when you'd want to use one of these over a spring bobber. Slip bobbers can target everything from crappies to salmon. The first big reason to use slip bobbers is that they're easier to cast, especially if you're fishing deep with a lot of line under your bobber. A slip bobber allows the bobber to sit close to your bait during the cast and then separate away from your bait after it hits the water. This makes it easier to cast farther and more accurately. The biggest advantage of slip bobbers is that you can fish at any depth with them. The bobber stop can go right into your reel without any problem. You can also adjust the depth of the bobber as often as you want. It's pretty common to see crappies and bluegills schooling up in deep holes during the fall, and you may have to fish 10 or 15 feet down in order to get to them. To rig up a slip bobber, you first put a bobber stop on your line. These come in two styles, a piece of thread wrapped around a plastic tube or a little rubber egg. If you're using the thread style, you put your line through the plastic tube, slide the thread off toward your rod tip, pull the ends of the thread to tighten it in place, and then slide the tube off and slide a bead up toward your bobber stop. If you're using the rubber egg style, these come on little wire loops. You put your line through one of the loops and slide the egg and bead right onto your line. Now just position the bobber stop wherever you want it on your line. The distance from your bobber stop to the bait will be the depth that you're going to fish. Now put your line through the top of the slip bobber and push it out the bottom. You can add a small split shot sinker underneath, which will help pull your line through the bobber and will also help keep your bait down at the desired depth, especially if you're using live minnows or a lightweight bait. Now just tie your hook or jig onto the end of the line. Cast out your line and you'll see your line fall through the bobber until the bobber stop gets pulled into the bead at the top of the bobber. If you aren't getting bites after a minute or two, try lifting your rod tip to pull your bait up a bit. A simple twitch or lift of your bait can entice a fish to bite it. After several minutes without a bite, I'll usually recast to a new spot. There are two disadvantages of using a slip bobber. One is that you can't just snap the bobber on and off your line in 2 seconds like you can with a spring bobber. The other is that if you're fishing with a leader, your connection knot can get stuck on the bobber instead of passing through. I like to use the Alberto knot because it's super thin, or I'll use a long enough leader that my bobber stop is set underneath my connection knot. If you have any questions about using slip bobbers, go ahead and drop those in the comments. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time.